Hello, this is Paranormal Girl, the real Assassin's Creed, legends, history, and myths. Who the Order of the Assassins? The year is 1090. A secret order, later referred to as the Order of the Assassins, begins its operations in the impenetrable mountain fortress of Alamet, and will soon be known as a terrorist organization responsible for causing unrest in the Middle East during the Seljuk rule. Little did anyone know that their roots reached as far back as the death of the Prophet himself back in 683, when the followers of the Islamic faith are divided into numerous smaller or larger factions. The main groups we know as the Shiites and the Sunnis. The Order of the Assassins will be born from the followers of Nizar, a separate Ismaili Shiites faction that believes in the leadership of Nizar, one of the sons of Fatimid Caliph, and the Ismailis Imam al-Mustanasir. The Order of the Assassins will manage to establish and consolidate their own state, the Nizari state, in the Arab Caliphate, covering lands from Persia through Syria, where they will reign for 166 years until their fall because of the Mongols' attack in the winter of 1256. The Mongol Khan Hulagu flattened Alamet to the ground and thus destroyed almost all documentation that the order had kept. Before the formal end of their rule, the Persians, Naziris, will endure the attack of Seljuk Turks and the Crusaders, which, at that time of 1096, will be fighting the Saracens in order to retake the Holy Lands. So, who was the leader and founder of the Order of the Assassins? In the year 1050, in the city of Qum, Hassan al-Sabah, the future leader of the Assassins, is born and raised in a family of Shiites. Being only 17 years old, Hassan is fascinated by the teachings of the Fatimid Ismailis and decides to follow their beliefs, pledging allegiance to their Imam at that time, al-Mustanasir, and is soon made a missionary of the Ismailis' teachings. During his missionary years, he will travel across the lands of Egypt and Persia, studying holy texts and creating a plan to overthrow the Seljuk Turks. By 1094, Hassan al-Sabah, who has preached the Fatimid teachings across the Seljuk dominions in Persia, is now considered the undisputed leader of the Persians Ismailis, and their state will soon possess over 40 fortresses in the Persian land, and many more will be held by the Syrian Nizaris in the politically fragmented Syria. He and his successors will manage to hold the fortresses and their state under the vicious attacks of the Seljuk, who did not succeed in destroying the group. At 74 years of age, Hassan al-Sabah died in the year 1124, leaving behind dedicated to the cause many followers, strong leaders, and religious political framework that will serve the Nizari state well into the following years. The heritage of the Order of the Assassins, or better known as the Old Man from the Mountain. One of the most popular myths in the order was spread by the Crusaders, who named their leader Vitus de Montanus. Myths describe them as a society of absolutely obedient killers under the rule of the charismatic and notorious figure, which at that time was the famous Hassan al-Sabah. According to the myths, they would even jump from the highest peak into the deepest pit at his command, therefore entirely trusting their lives and death into the hands of their leader. According to Marco Polo, the famous Venetian traveller who claimed to have visited Alamet in 1271, the assassins were capturing young boys, drugging and leaving them in the gardens of the fortress. The gardens would be full of beautiful dark-eyed girls, fountains of honey, milk and wine, and everything else the religion promised to the believers. Once the effect of the drug wore off, the boys would think that they have been to heaven, or would follow the leader to the death, believing all to be truth. However, it's unlikely for this to be the truth, since Hassan al-Sabah killed one of his own sons for drinking wine. The first ever political assassination conducted by the order was that of the great Vizier Nizam al-Mulk in 1092, who was the vizier for the Seljuk sultans for over 30 years. He was the right hand of Malik Shah and Alp Arslan, who in the eyes of the order were the detested rulers of the Persian lands. There is a theory saying that the assassins took the life of Ibn al-Kashab in 1123, a judge and governor of the Aleppo during the Seljuk rule, and the first to preach jihad, a term that later became very popular. In the year of 1175, it's believed that the assassins were after the life of Saladin himself, the sultans of the Saracens. The story goes that Saladin decided to go on a march against the assassins in the mountains al-Nasari, but after he found a poisonous dagger and a life-threatening note in his tent, he immediately stopped his campaign and decided to go to Mount Lebanon and fight the Crusaders instead and look for a way to draw the order to his side. One of the most notable assassinations conducted possibly by the order was the execution of Conrad Mountferret. Before his coronation as King of Jerusalem in 1192, according to the story, he was killed by Tyre by two assassins while he was travelling home after he visited Bishop Philippe of Boves. The legends of this medieval order will be spread by the works of Marco Polo, the Crusades and the Travellers, as well as the enemies of the Shiites Islam. The legends and myths about the Order of the Assassins still are well known today, and their reputation for bloodletting and murder is well established. So I'll now read the mysterious Templar attack on the assassins. The story unfolds in 1160s. Jerusalem had been in Crusader hands since 1099. And a string of Christian states had been formed encompassing such cities as Antioch, Tripoli and Gaza. There was both a constant fear of attack by the Muslims caliphate, but also a curious if uneasy coexistence with the enemy. When King Baldwin III of Jerusalem suddenly and unexpectedly died, it was said that the Muslim governor of Aleppo, Nur ed-Din, publicly grieved for the young man. His brother Almaric took the kingdom, and there were no children to inherit, and set about planning an attack on Egypt. The Fatimid rulers of the country were divided and weakened, and the Amalric calculated that if he didn't try and seize the Nile with his huge bread basket, the Nur ed-Din would certainly have a go. Either the Crusaders or the Turks would rule in Egypt. Amalric's subsequent campaign in Egypt relied on Templar support, and it didn't go well. While Amalric was occupied in the Nile Delta, Nur ed-Din attacked Antioch in the north. The ruler of the Crusader domain, Bohemond III, was lured into a familiar Saracen retreat and then attack trap, which killed many Templars. The existence of Amalric's activities in Egypt and Bohemond in Antioch made the Templars think that in future they might rely on their own knowledge of battlefield tactics instead of the more impetuous Latin princes. The Templars were able to act with some independence, as the papal bull Omni Datum Optimum meant that they answered only to the Pope and not to any king or prince. However, somebody must have failed to give a copy of the document to the Amalric, because when he discovered a band of 12 Templar knights who had decided to abandon a castle in Transjordan to Nur ed-Din rather than face heavy losses, he hanged all of them. This completely poisoned relations between the Amalric and the Templar Grand Master Bertrand of Blanquefort. So when Amalric announced he wanted to have another go at Egypt, the Templars stayed put, even though the Hospitallers, rivals to the Templars, agreed to go. This bad atmosphere continued into 1173, when Amalric began talks with the leader of the notorious assassins, the Messianic group based in Syria. They were fanatical Ismailis who attacked Christians and Sunni Muslims alike, taking out senior figures whenever the opportunity presented itself. But they were shy of attacking the Templars, and maybe rightly understood these knights were made of sterner stuff. Assassins paying tribute to the Templars. Instead, and incredible as it might seem, the assassins paid the Templars an annual tribute of 2,000 byzants, which was high-value coins, to be left alone by the knights. In 1160s, Sinan, the leader of the assassins, and known as the Old Man of the Mountain, announced that the end of the world and the resurrection of the flesh had arrived. This was heretical to Christians and Muslims, but led the assassins into a constant orgy, by all accounts, where hedonism ruled. Breaking off from one of these orgies, Sinan sent out feelers to Amalric, saying that he was up for converting to Christianity. The king of Jerusalem was overjoyed and guaranteed safe passage to an envoy from Sinan to visit him. But en route, a group of Templar knights attacked the messenger from Sinan, sending the travelling party of assassins scurrying back to their leader. The Amalric was incandescent with rage. It was bad enough that the Templars were acting in an increasingly independent spirit, but to attack the assassins when they were offering to convert to Christ seemed outrageous and nonsensical. He ordered the arrest of the Templar who had led the attack, Walter de Mesnil. The Templar Grand Master was notably circumspect, but the whole incident, though it's hard to believe, Walter acted in isolation like some kind of rogue Templar. Much analysis believe he must have been ordered to undertake the attack. The chronicler William of Tyre, who despised the Templars, wrote very cattily that the order was just worried about losing 2,000 byzants a year if peace was made with the assassins. Walter Map scribbled, and the Templars didn't want peace, because it would destroy the whole reason for being. The order craved war and destruction, he wrote. Maybe the Templars understood the assassins better, but others have been kinder. It just might be that the Templars understood the assassins better than Amalric. They knew that the crafty Sinan was up to no good. He was an unscrupulous murderer who had dipped his hands in Muslim and Christian blood. When Amalric died, he was succeeded by Raymond III. His father had been slain by the assassins, and so all talks with Sinan were abandoned. Nevertheless, down the years, the opinions of the Templar attack on the assassins have remained divided. Was it naked self-interest, or the advancement of the Crusaders that lay behind their act? And if anyone has ever watched the movie Assassin's Creed, I do believe that these people are still active today, but obviously we don't know where they are or where they're hiding, do we? If you know any more about this story or the Assassin's Creed, leave a comment in the section below. I'd be very interested on your theories on this. Thank you for listening.